Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Faheem.
Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the Lightning Strike. And you are obviously we have been having a lot of fun today, but we had some great guests, and our next guest coming in is Chuck Krugel. Chuck, are you on the line? Okay, I'm waiting to hear back to see if Chuck Krugel is...
Can you hear me, Mohammed?
Yes, we can hear you. Good morning.
Oh, sorry. That was weird. Okay.
Okay.
I'm fine, thanks. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, Chuck. And so a quick introduction, if you could, for our listening audience as to who you are and what do you do.
Sure. So I'm a labor and employment lawyer. I represent businesses. It's all business to business. Management side, human resources counseling, transactional, like contracts and agreements, negotiations, and also litigation before regulatory agencies like the National Labor Relations Board and Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
Okay, folks. So Chuck and I are going to be having an in-depth discussion after the show is over today, and we'll be on Zoom, and I will share that on our social media platforms later. But we are going to dive real quick into what is happening with this Doge and other stuff out there at the federal government now. Chuck, I want you to talk about the legality of these mass firings without giving notice, because we all know that you have to give the warn notice and all of that you and I have worked with over the last 15 years together on these things. What is the legality of these mass firings?
Okay, so first of all, warn doesn't apply to federal employees.
Okay.
You have to keep in mind that a lot of public sector entities are the types where it's do as we say, not do as we do. So, it doesn't apply. But there are, because a lot of these people are unionized, and they are kind of like some sort of civil service system, there are due process elements to their firings where basically they're supposed to get prior notice and a chance to appeal or otherwise complain about it and follow through some sort of grievance or review process. And so basically what they've done, what Trump must have done is basically break the system. People have talked about reform for decades now, and a lot of stuff, I guess, has been happening at the fringes, and then these guys come in and are basically breaking it up from the inside out. And that's what they're doing. And basically, my guess is if I had to estimate how many of these firings are illegal, I'd say at least 2/3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Okay. So, Chuck, here's the thing.
They busted the system.
Right. But you don't go around busting the system without taking into account the long-term social impact of this thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here people are getting nuts. I was listening to a lady who has voted for Trump for 3 times now, and now she's crying her eyes out, saying that, I never thought that this would come back and impact me on a personal level. A lot of people are getting impacted, Chuck. So the social impact of it, do we have as a country enough of reserves to, how do we handle these people who are getting laid off now? Are they going to be getting unemployment? If they're getting unemployment, both you and I know that unemployment is a drop in the bucket as far as finances are concerned. How do people survive, man?
I don't know, honestly. It's going to be very difficult for a lot of these people. And potentially, we're potentially entering a recession. Potentially right now, I'd say we're at the precipice of it. When you look at the unemployment numbers, last week's numbers for filings weren't as bad, but the prior week's numbers were very high, I think in the 20,000s. So I think we're on the precipice of some major economic shakeup that we haven't seen since 2008. It's just on a personal note, if I could relay this, that when I start getting phone calls from employees who are pissed off, that's different because I don't represent employees. And then they should, I guess they probably know that, but they're desperate and calling. And usually, in any given week, I maybe get one of those calls. Between last Thursday and Friday, and this was just a couple of days ago, I had about 6 or 7 calls from pissed off employees. And so I don't really, there's nothing I do for them, but, I've never seen this type of volume before. And this is what we're seeing now is a shakeup in our economy, and it's going to impact the jobs. And you're seeing this at the federal level relative to Doge. And you'll see this in the private sector, too, relative to companies who are scared about the tariffs and other funds, whether it comes from grants, loans, or whatever.
Yep, and Chuck, here's the thing that I'm concerned about, okay? When COVID hit and a lot of people got laid off, the unemployment system in our state was not geared up to handle that many claims, okay?
Yeah.
That's what happened with a lot of people filing claims and claims getting rejected. There was a lot of fraud in the system. And I know for a fact that the state government spent $12 million in a contract to a private company to come in and help out with the unemployment claims. And now with this thing rolling down the hill at breakneck speed, I'm pretty sure that we are going to be having major issues in every state in the country.
Yeah. During COVID, by the way, somebody filed a fraudulent claim on my behalf against one of my clients.
Okay.
I had to contact the IDS and explain, no, that's a client of mine, and I don't work for them, and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So, I've seen it happen, and it's going to be, we're probably going to end up with a repeat of that, because I still don't think, like in the state of Illinois, I don't think our technology or info tech systems relative to the Department of Employment Security are still up to date, or
the unemployment system is still based on COBOL programming. Can you believe it? Okay.
Yeah.
So last time when COVID hit, they were looking for COBOL programmers, and obviously they did not find any COBOL programmers. They brought in this outside vendor. I don't want to take the name of the vendor, but I know that they spent not 12 but $20 million, if I'm not mistaken, in trying to bridge that gap. Folks, Chuck Krugel, employment law attorney. He does mostly management side. And Chuck, thank you so much for joining us. And we will continue the conversation in at about 10:30, going back on Zoom, so we can do a deep dive into this. And thank you so much for joining us, Chuck. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back on the other side of the break with some more programming to wind up what happened between Zelensky and Trump and our vice president who's trying, crazy stuff is happening, folks. I didn't want to use the S word. It's almost
boxing match
slipped out. Okay, but
it's a clean show.
And we'll be back with programming on WCPT.